My fellow Frenchmen, since the armistice of 1940, we have experienced the downfall of our great nation. French lives were lost, great alliances were broken, and most importantly, our pride was nearly vanquished. The armistice was signed in the familiar Compiègne forest, the same site where the Allies ended the Great War and received Germany's concession only a few decades ago. In the first session of the Armistice Convention, a traitor of the French people, who also happened to be the head delegate of our once great nation, boldly stated, "France is resolved to apply with the Armistice Convention a loyalty in which she has never faltered in the course of her history." This very statement, which allowed treasonous dogs like Pétain and Laval to consolidate power over Hitler's puppet government they called Vichy, was a contradiction in and of itself. France's loyalty has faltered, and it has allowed the totalitarian, murderous Germans to take control of our country and of our livelihood. We are no longer free, gentlemen. Indeed, our new Vichy overlords have launched extensive measures to restore our war-torn country, repairing bridges, subsidizing agriculture, and restoring the devastated port of Marseille. But they failed to protect our liberties enjoyed during our lost republic. The new constitution accompanying the birth of a new, free France is no constitution at all. It is but a vehicle for Pétain and his cronies to deliberately abuse their undeserved power. Our prisoners of war who fought valiantly to repel the German threat are now locked in internment camps, even south of the demarcation line. The legal guarantees that once protected our civil servants have been invalidated, and face dismissal at the whim of their Vichy superiors. Following in the steps of Germany's road to purification, civil servants can only work if they were birthed by French fathers. Our adolescents are required to attend mandatory labor service in youth camps to adopt, in Vichy's words, a moral, physical, and civic education, perhaps a way to convert innocent youth to Nazi dogma. Furthermore, Pétain's desire to punish those responsible for France's defeat is disastrous. The right-wing press has labeled politicians, Freemasons, and of course Jews as those responsible. If these policies have been enacted in our free France, imagine those enacted in the occupied zone. We as Frenchmen are being persecuted. We must open our eyes and take action. Even anti-Semitism, which has become more rampant than ever, is plaguing our nation. Have we forgotten about the violence endured following the Dreyfus affair? The lives lost in the riots of 1898, when both Dreyfusards and anti-Dreyfusards fought one another in the streets despite protection of religious freedoms in our old Constitution? The economic downfall brought about by anti-Semitic oppression? Gentlemen, this is no longer a political issue, but an issue of our sovereignty and, perhaps in the future, an issue of life or death. It is time we take a stand against our totalitarian dictators, and there are ways to do so. Consider the liberty of free speech, one of the most fundamental rights in the eyes of our forefathers. Today, we cannot write a letter to a son without it being scoured by Nazi dogs. We cannot speak against Hitler, a foreign invader, despite living in a supposedly free French state. But there are those who are fighting back at this very moment. There exists an underground press which spreads word of Nazi atrocities across the continent, humiliating Nazi censorship and uniting the people of France with internal resistance groups. And they need our help. They need your help. Gestapo officials are actively smoking out contributors and typists, making many arrests and, at times, killing on sight. They are in need of typists. They are in need of heroes brave enough to steal paper and ink from Nazi storehouses. But the successes of these brave men, these brave Frenchmen, are undeniable. Look alive and open your